Hey everyone, we're at the HyperX / Kingston suite now at CES 2018. There's a couple new products that they have, primarily focused on RGB. So, before anyone comments and says, RGB, something I've been told here at this show is that apparently user engagement via social media channels increases by 60% if the post contains the letters RGB. So just let that sink in for a moment. While you let that sink in, this video is brought to you by Leon Lee and their 550X and 330 cases. The 550X is a $180 mid-tower case with tempered glass on all panels. It's got 3 RGB LED fans positioned in the front, each of which has a metal frame housing and an open interior design. If you prefer a cheaper option, the 330 is $100 and comes without fans, and is what we recommended most heavily in one of our recent case reviews. Learn more at the link in the description below. The modules here we're looking at are kind of an iteration on what we saw, I think, last year. So these are Predator DDR4 RGB modules. Technically, it says they're 3200 megahertz. The final speeds and latencies are indeterminate at this time. They'll be finalized closer towards Q2 when the modules should be shipping this time for real. So the primary difference here from last time is that these actually use infrared sensors to synchronize with one another. So rather than using either internal or external wiring, which isn't that common these days, but internal wiring certainly is, rather than using that, they're just using an IR transmitter and receiver on either side of the module. So it does not matter which one is in which position. You pick a module, and the one in the from this orientation bottom slot is the effective master module, and then that will synchronize the others to it. What we're doing here is there's just a sticker that's sitting in between the sensors, the IR receiver for this third module counting from bottom up, and that is blocking the synchronization from the other two. So these are syncing to each other, and these are syncing to each other, and if we pull it, they pretty much instantly synchronize with one another. So it's kind of interesting. It's RGB technology, but it's a new application of infrared, so we have not seen this yet on memory, which makes it kind of neat. I don't have speeds, prices, anything like that right now, but that's most of it. As far as distances, so if you're like, I only buy 2 sticks because memory is $1,000 right now, then you can, they actually will sense 1 space apart. They will not sense 2 spaces apart, but no one does that anyway. If you had an X299 or a Threadripper TR4 board, and you had 4 slots here, 4 here, we asked about that as well, then the modules down here would sync with one another, and the modules up here would sync with one another. They will not communicate across the SM bus, so they are syncing only to the adjacent or nearly adjacent modules for the Predator RGB memory. So that's the update on those. A couple other updates. They also have a new SSD. So that one we have some B-roll of as well, and that is the HyperX Fury RGB, which is, I don't have exact specifications on it, but it's a Marvell controller, and it basically uses a SATA power, SATA data, so your standard connectors, plus a 4-pin. And the 4-pin is just the 4-pin RGB connectors that you see pretty much with every motherboard at this point. That will synchronize via the motherboard software. I know it's compatible with at least 3 of the vendors for motherboards, and we'll see if it happens to be compatible with the 4th by the time everything ships. So that's just RGB SSD basically is all you need to know about that one. Other stuff, more functionally, I suppose, is this. This is the Exo, so it's a Savage Exo SSD. It's basically an M.2 drive inside of an enclosure, and it connects to, it's meant to connect to consoles like the Xbox One. So you can connect to the Xbox One, store your games on the device. It's a bit faster than the hard drive if you don't want to take it apart like we did and just install one, which we have a video on, but I suppose if you want it external, you could do that, and it'll be a bit faster. As far as if you're concerned about thermals, asked about that because cramming an M.2 SSD into a plastic enclosure, theoretically, the Xbox shouldn't really be doing a lot of high-speed continuous reads and writes, so theoretically thermals should not be too much of an issue because it's just, I mean, it's a low performance device that doesn't really pain memory a whole lot. It's not like running iometer on it. So I think that covers most of the HyperX suite. They have a couple of new keyboards and mice. They have an Alloy Elite RGB keyboard. It's got some software for it now, basically coming out sometime soon, and also a mouse. But focus here for us is primarily on memory and the storage solutions. So that's it for this one. You subscribe for more. As always, go to patreon.com/gamersnexus. Helps out directly. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.